Okay, welcome to part two. We had a little gaff here,
Sorry about that, guys.
but no,
I apologize. Yeah.
don't blame me. Blame Bill Gates. I blame Hedy Lamarr for all this, and her
Yeah.
and her
Right.
and
Right.
Hedy Lamarr invented the code that became the
Yes.
internet, and
Yes.
it keeps dropping out, and did it for a purpose. But
Right.
that whole thing was created
Right.
and for code. But
Right.
then
Yes.
the same system was used. I can explain it for overseas telegraph
Right.
and for the internet and everything.
Yes.
So had she took a patent on it, the movie star Hedy Lamarr would be the richest person of
Right.
all time. But
Right.
didn't work out. But
Yes.
anyway, uh, so I was talking about Speedy Gonzalez,
Yes.
and I was
Speedy
talking about
Gonzalez and Coyote
the
and Road
coyote.
Runner.
Let me tell you about the coyote. The it's awful. It
Right.
said beep beep your ass, and it was the it was the coyote with strangling like a cross-eyed uh, uh, road runner.
Right.
Finally, he called it. Finally, the final episode. They said. I always remember the episode. I always remember about the Roadrunner, and the same with Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
The plot of every one of them is the coyote wants to eat the Roadrunner, or Tom wants to eat Jerry. It's how well the other one outsmarts the other one. In real life, the coyote always wins. In real life, the cat always wins.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so I got Speedy Gonzalez on here, which Speedy Gonzalez didn't really change that much
Right.
from and I think Speedy Gonzalez was all right as a Mexican
Yeah.
figure, but his brothers was kind of bigoted, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the way the 1950s were. 1950s, all
Yeah.
the only boring white people existed. If you watch television,
Yeah.
everyone was Leave It to Beaver and Father Knows Best and
Right.
Ozzie and Harriet.
Right.
Believe it or not, there were people like the Honeymooners.
Right.
And then
Right.
you went on and on, and you found out that the 1960s
Yeah.
everything exploded and everything
Right.
got rough, but it
Right.
all worked out for the best
Right.
because
Right.
now people are
Right.
have a say in things.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
what else can I say? So I'm wearing my this is a
I
lovely
love that pen.
Beatles Beatles pin.
Yes.
The Beatles this is from the Yellow Submarine,
Oh
and
yeah. I love that song.
yeah. Oh,
We all lived in the yellow submarine. Yellow submarine. Yellow submarine. We all lived in the yellow submarine. Na, 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 na.
that was the first Beatles song I think I ever knew, and I only found out years later Ringo sings it, and it is Ringo that sings it,
Right.
and that's like his big hit. That
Right.
and I Get High with a Little Help from My Friends,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he didn't write it, but he gets to sing it,
Right.
and
Well,
and
at least he has some spotlight
yeah,
anyway.
well everyone liked Ringo.
Yeah.
And Ringo, so Yellowstone. I wanted to see the movie in the theater in the worst way, and it was rated G, G. It's a kids movie, okay?
Yeah.
So mom heard that it all had all this drug imagery and the Beatles, and I said, I
Right.
don't want you seeing that hippie LSD acid crazed acid trip of a movie. I said, what do you know about it? I heard, in those days, if your mother or father told you couldn't do something,
Right.
there are two things you did. You said, "Oh, yes, mother. Thank you, father." Or you said, "Nobody's going to tell me I can't see this." So of course might get wind that you're going to go see it.
Yeah.
So then you don't. So what do? You don't tell anybody. You just
Yeah.
go see it.
Yeah. Just go see it.
So I did go see it, and I thought it was the
Right.
coolest movie.
Right.
I found out
Right.
years later that the Beatles do not do their own voices in it. The
Yeah.
songs are theirs, and there's a lot of good songs in there. Nowhere Man is in there,
Oh yeah, I like that one
and
too.
Get By with a Little Help from My no, not that one. Maybe that one's in there, but I know that the one with Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is in it.
Right. Right.
Maybe that's what ticked everyone off. Yellow
Right.
Submarine, of course, is in it,
Right. Right.
and so at the end of the movie, the Beatles show up for just
Like
That,
the real people,
the
right?
real Beatles are there for the last 2 minutes. I don't know why
Right.
they showed up for the last 2 minutes. The
Right.
real Beatles. If you don't know any better, you would think the whole movie the Beatles are doing their own voice because
Right.
they do sound like the Beatles,
Right. Right.
but they're sound alikes, and they
Right.
got the real
Right.
Beatles at the end.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Makes
anyway,
sense.
I'm oh, I tell you the song that's at the end of the movie. It's called All Together Now.
Oh
It's
yeah.
on a phone commercial
All
now.
together now. Love
Oh,
is all we need.
oh,
Love
that
is
yeah,
all we.
that
And then they added that all together now. So.
no, oh no. The song you're thinking of, All You Need Is Love. I think that's in there too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
But the last song in the movie by the Beatles is that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can I have a little more?
Oh.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Well,
I
see, I
love you.
haven't watched the movie in years, but
Yeah.
it's been so
Well,
long.
it's one of those movies you could watch
Right.
over and over again because the
Right.
cartoon and then the songs kind of just wash over you. It's kind of a fun movie to watch.
Right.
Yellow
Right.
Submarine.
I
It's
might
not a
have to watch
Disney.
it
It's not a
again.
Disney movie.
Yeah. I might have to
So
watch it again though.
yeah,
So I can get
yeah. So this is the yellow. And funny when I think of the Beatles as a kid, this is what I
Yeah.
think of the cartoon. I don't think
Right.
of them as real people.
Yeah.
You know, the
Yeah.
Three Stooges were a cartoon too. I was telling Vince about this,
Right.
and the Three Stooges were a cartoon, and then of course there's the live action version of the Three Stooges, and
Right.
my nephews never saw the live action
Right.
version; they only saw the cartoon.
Yeah.
So then when they saw the live action version
Mhm.
of the
They
Three
probably
Stooges,
like that one better.
they loved it, Ben. And I
Wow.
actually said, "What do you like better, the cartoon or the real men?" They said, "The real men." And then I took their
Right.
niece to see Ghostbusters the movie,
Oh.
and she only thought it was a cartoon, the Ghostbusters cartoon. I said, "What
Oh.
do you like better, Ghostbusters, the cartoon, or the real men?" And she said, "Ah, the real men. The real men's always better."
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, speaking of cartoons, people say I dress like people say I dress like a colorblind Batman villain.
Right.
The best I heard, I think Red Fox said this, but somebody said this to me, said that I dress like a pimp on Sesame Street. How much you want for the big bird? For the giant bird? Speaking of cartoons, I've been listening to a musical on here. It's from the 1950s. A lot of people think it's a great musical.
Oh yeah.
Li'l Abner.
Oh
Li'l
yeah.
Abner.
That's a good one.
It has really good songs in it, and
Yeah.
none of them are really all. I mean, it's not stuff that they're all very, very good songs for the
Right.
musical.
Right. Oh
And
yeah.
here's this is what the cartoon. I'm sure you know what the cartoon looks like,
Yes.
because it was in the funny papers for a long time.
Yeah.
Al Cap wrote it,
Yeah.
and then this is still from the Broadway show,
Oh, okay.
and Stubby K
Cool.
is in it. It's also the first. He plays marrying Sam.
Okay.
Stubby K, if you know, he was the first guy that gets killed in the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's one of his last films, yeah. And
Okay.
it says here, Charlotte Ray is her first musical. Charlotte
Oh, I
Ray
like her.
is from The Facts of Life.
Yes.
Yeah, this is from the
Yes.
1950s,
Oh
if I haven't made it
wow.
clear.
Okay.
And the only song I was familiar with was a song called "If I Had My Druthers." I heard it on a Johnny Mercer album.
Mm.
Bobby Darin was singing it with
Mm.
him, and I always thought it was a good song. And then I'm surprised when I'm playing this, I hear that song, and I didn't know, uh, you know, Johnny Mercer wrote all the music to this show, and he wrote lots of great music.
Yeah.
Accentuate the Positive and a lot of musicals. Skylark. He's famous songwriter from Savannah, Georgia.
Right.
And he's probably the most famous person from Savannah, Georgia. If you go to there's this big mansion called the Mercer House.
Right.
And
Right. Right.
I've been to Savannah a few times, and
Right.
it's sort of like when you go to San Antonio, there's the Alamo everywhere. You
Right.
go to Savannah, Georgia, there's Mercer everywhere,
Right.
and Johnny Mercer
Right.
wrote the
Right.
music to this. And what else? Uh, Julie Newmar
Oh
is a
yeah, she
dan.
played
I don't
on
think she. I don't think she. Yeah,
Batman.
she's on Batman. She's still around. She's one of the dancers in it,
Oh,
and
okay. She played
yeah,
Catwoman.
Norman. Yeah, Tina Louise is in this.
Oh, okay.
She's a
A lot of
dancer in it.
people. Wow, a lot of
So this is
notable
the
people.
Broadway show,
Oh,
and
okay.
so check it out,
Oh
Li'l
yeah.
Abner. Oh, there's a movie version of it too. You could probably catch it on CCM every once in a
Yeah.
while, and it was I don't know whom. I guess MGM made the musical.
Mm.
A lot of the same people are in it. So and it's a good show, Li'l
Right,
Abner. We
right.
should do that at the theater,
Oh
you
yes,
know,
definitely.
and bring that back. Li'l Abner was a comic strip. Let me tell you a little bit about Li'l Abner. It was a hillbilly comic strip, but the
Oh,
guy who
okay.
wrote it was I think he's from New York, Jewish guy,
Mm.
Al Cap,
Oh, okay.
and he only had like I think he only had one leg. He lost
Oh,
in the war or something, and
oh,
but he was a kind of a mean guy. Nobody liked him.
oh.
He
Wow.
was like there's a if you want to know what Al Cap was all about,
Yeah.
who made this wonderful cartoon is that if you ever see a movie or a lot of documentaries about or any documentary about
Right.
John Lennon,
Right.
um, when John Lennon and Yoko are having
Right.
that sit-in when they
Right.
get married,
Right.
he shows up just to insult them, and he insults Yoko's heritage. He insults he insults John Lennon, and they're all there for peace, and he's sort of against the hippie movement and everything.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of other stories, rather dark stories about him, but Dick Cavett once said that Al Cap was the worst guest he ever had
Yeah. Right.
because all he
Right.
did was want to insult and be mean and
Right.
everything.
Right.
Now, there's something cool about Little Abner. Little Abner, there are these Indians, Native Americans, I should say. There are these Native Americans and they're very funny, a tribe in there, the Kickapoo tribe, and
Peekaboo.
the Kickapoo. The trouble with a lot of these,
Okay.
whenever you see Native Americans in cowboy movies and stuff, cowboys and Indians movies, they always get white guys to play the Indians,
Yeah, I
which
know. It's
makes no
weird.
sense at all.
Just like you know that movie Love is a Many Splendid Thing
Yeah.
with Jennifer Jones.
Yes.
But she's really American, but she played a Japanese woman.
Well, that was something else. How they could actually make somebody into something totally different.
Right.
But I mean, I think people didn't bat an eye
Yeah. I
with
just wanted to give you
Asian.
an
Yeah.
example of that
Oh,
because
they and
yeah.
but what's really wild was I mean seems like every cowboy movie you see,
Right.
the Indians are played by white guys.
Yeah.
We did a show with Little House on the Prairie once,
Yeah.
and we had and there was a whole bunch of Indians in it,
Right.
and our I hate to say this, but our play was no different than any Western. Who wants to play an Indian?
Right. I know.
But I mean, what are you gonna do? A lot of people have Indian in them.
Yeah.
Are
Me,
you have Indian in you?
I got a lot of other stuff in me too.
Yeah,
So Irish, Scottish, Spanish,
yeah,
Portuguese,
yeah,
Indian, German,
yeah,
and some other things. Probably
yeah,
Puerto Rican
yeah.
or maybe Italian. Who knows?
Hey, buongiorno, buongiorno,
I
principessa.
know I have some French in me as well
French?
too.
Let
So.
me tell you, I have French as mustard in me. That's about as French as I get. Let me tell you.
Well, gee.
I gotta tell you, but anyway, so my sister wanted to get that thing with the
Oh,
23 and Me or something
the
where you find
ancestry, yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
I thought I'd save money because my sister and I are of the same,
yeah,
hopefully, the same parentage.
yeah.
So if she gets it, I should have the same.
Did she take it?
Yeah, and she said all the stuff that was in there, and I said, uh, I hate to say this, but if I did it, I'd probably get a different reading than you. If we didn't tell them that we were brother and sister, they
Yeah.
probably just picked those things out of the air and stuff.
I did the 23 and me a
Well,
couple
that's what
years
I mean.
ago.
Well, I'm not saying that they'll try to do a good job, but I have a feeling that you do things 10 times, probably you get 10 different answers, and they probably would do. So I said now, but at the same time, you may figure out. Wait a minute, my maybe my brother, maybe that brother and sister, if they have 2 different readings, maybe they don't have the same father.
I forgot to tell you. I forgot to tell you one more thing that
What?
I have.
What? African.
Which I have like about I think it was like 3% or something.
Yes, you're 3% African American.
Yeah. So I'm proud of
Give me
that.
some skin.
Yeah. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of what I am. So.
Yeah. Proud. You should be proud.
I'm proud of. I'm all mixed with stuff. So.
You're a real salad bowl.
Yeah.
You're the salad plate at the United Nations. I know what I am. I'm Irish, Jewish.
Yeah.
And that's probably it. In Ireland, though, I think everyone is Irish. You go out of America, people are like all different things,
Yeah.
and but Irish people are actually originally from the Vikings. If you go way back,
Yeah,
which would explain Eric the Red with his red hair. But all Irish people seem to have red hair,
Yeah. Yeah.
like Conan O'Brien.
Yeah. I'm all mixed with stuff,
Mhm.
but I'm proud of it.
Very good.
So,
You know, when I was born, um, there's a lot of redheads in my family
Yeah.
on my mother's side.
My grandmother was redhead.
Yeah, I was born with red hair,
Yeah.
and
So was my grandmother.
very good, and I had pale skin and freckles. All my, but my hair got dark probably when I was about 3 years old, and it's pretty much remained dark, brown, black, whatever color you want to call it,
Yeah.
gray now, but it was and I had dark eyes, but I still had the white red-haired skin and freckles.
Yeah.
Which means I never could get a good suntan.
Yeah, my dad.
Get a good sunburn,
Yeah.
which what Irish people do all the time.
Right. My dad was dark, so he's got like tan skin.
Yeah.
I think he always had dark hair.
Yeah.
I think it was kind of reddish
My
when he was
dad's
a
that way.
teenager, I think, but I think it kind of changed again.
Yeah, my dad is actually kind of dark too.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad is almost
Some
all.
people.
My dad has an olive complexion.
Yeah, I think my
Not
dad
green. He's not. He doesn't have a green complexion.
Yeah, my dad has an olive kind of skin tone.
Olive. I always thought that's what olive. All olives I ever see are green.
My dad has kind of like an olive skin tone. Some people say he looks Spanish.
Hey.
And no one knows.
Ole.
Spanish too, so.
Spanish, great place, Spain.
Yeah, and
I've been everywhere.
Yeah. I want to go all over Europe.
You know what I always tell people?
Yeah.
So I always tell people. So you know what I know? I know everything.
Yeah.
you know. You know. I know.
What?
I know everybody. You know where I've been? I've been everywhere. So I always say that when people haven't seen me in a long time, and they say, "Well, if you've been everywhere, then you haven't been around me because I haven't seen you.
Right.
You've been hiding out."
Right.
I'll tell you where I've been. Oh, so anyway, one last thing about the Kickapoo Indians was they in the Li'l Abner comic they had this Kickapoo Joy Juice, and then when the Pepsi Corporation wanted to create a new soft drink, they did something with Li'l Abner, and they had this lemony drink called Kickapoo Joy Juice. This is back in the mid '60s, and I remember this. And then after a while, you didn't. Then I guess they must have had the contract must have fallen through, and then but it was still a good seller for. But the Li'l Abner part, maybe they didn't get along with Al Cap. And the Pepsi Corporation, maybe Joan Crawford, I think her husband owned Pepsi at that time, didn't get along with Al Cap, so then they renamed Kickapoo Joy Juice to soft drink, and they now call it Mountain Dew. So that's where. So Mountain Dew has talk about 23andMe. If you do your 23andMe, you'll find out it comes from Li'l Abner.
Right. So Mountain Dew was originally called Kickapoo
Joy Juice.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Well, actually, Mountain Dew is actually both of them are sort of like nicknames for moonshine or poutine, as we call it in Ireland.
Right.
Or and Mountain Dew, you always hear Mountain Dew, you always hear corn liquor, you always hear moonshine, that type of thing. So anyway, so anyway, I was in. They didn't sell Mountain Dew in New York, and I liked it when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So they would take me out to places, and they said, "Well, little boy, would you like a drink?" And I'd say, "Yeah, I'd like some Mountain Dew." And I had a real bad Southern accent then, and people would get outraged because they didn't think it was a soft drink. They thought I was talking about moonshine. So they fill you full of Mountain Dew at this age. 16 years old, 12 years old. Yeah, I like Mountain Dew. I didn't know what they were. There was a disconnect what they were talking about.
Yeah.
I thought I was talking about a soft drink, which everyone drinks, and they were talking about moonshine. And once a kid, And you have to remember something about illegal moonshine or illegal alcohol. Illegal alcohol, anyone can buy it. There's no laws. Marijuana, there's no age limit for marijuana because it's illegal.
Yeah.
Now, in a place where it's legal, like California and stuff, then you have to be 18, 21. I don't know how old it is. I've never been to California since they legalized marijuana.
Yeah.
Where was this when I was in high school? Why is all this happening now?
Yeah. Right.
It saved me a lot of trouble. I joke that I've been everywhere. I've been to, I'll tell you a place I've been to. I've been to Brazil. And probably the craziest thing I ever did, ever in my whole life, was I did something called paragliding.
Oh yeah, I think
You know what a hang gliding is? That's where you're on that giant kite and you jump off a mountain and just get your way down. They had that when I was in college. He said, "You want to join the hang gliding club?" I said, "No, no, get away from me! I don't want to do that. I don't want to jump off a mountain on a kite and think I can land myself." That's like jumping off the roof with an umbrella in the cartoons. So so I'm in there and there's a lot of ocean in Rio de Janeiro. It's the sea. It's the Atlantic Sea, Corcovado Beach, and Ipanema Beach, like the song. And what happened was they had these excursions that you could do. This is what I thought it was. I think it was parasailing. And what it was, and you see this at any time you go to the beach, you see people do this. They're on a boat and they're on a like looks like a parachute behind them, and they're just flying, up in the air. And I always felt, if the worst thing that happens is you fall, you would fall into the ocean, and you still have a rope on you, so they could just drag you out of the water. So I thought I could do that,
I wouldn't want to do it.
You wouldn't want to.
Thank you.
Well, actually, I wanted to do that. But they spoke some English. I didn't speak any Portuguese. So when we were trying to negotiate, and it cost about $75 to do this, they came to the hotel to pick me up, and then they took me what I thought was the ocean, but then they seemed to turn away from the ocean and start going up a mountain, like like up a spiral mountain. And there was this mountain that they jumped off of. It wasn't Sugarloaf Mountain, but it was around that area. But this mountain was specifically for what they were going to do. And what it was a guy was going to jump off, not with a hang glider, but with like a parachute. And the guest or myself would be strapped to him like in a straitjacket sort of thing. We're strapped together. He would be doing all the work and I'd just be going along for the ride. All right. So I said, "Oh man, I can't get out of this. I can get out of this, but I did spend $75 already. I might as well go through it. And people are doing it; they're not dying, so I might as well take a chance doing it." But there was some hesitancy about doing this. So you go to the ledge of this mountain, and you see the buildings. I mean, you see the cityscape, and you see the ocean in front of you, and a few other mountains. And this guy does it like 3 times a day, so he knows what he's doing. So we strapped ourselves to it, and I'm in front. He's in the back. I could probably show you pictures in the comments, because there are pictures that were taken from it. And what happened was, so I'm on this ledge here, and here I am, and imagine him behind me. And he said, "Listen, you don't have to do anything, but